Hello, everyone. Welcome to your next lesson, Syncretism Society Virtual Academy. Today, we're going to be diving into various topics, just basically trying to explain various different symbols in the occult when it comes to rebuilding Solomon's temple. And the body that we have here is our vessel, which manifested from the causal invisible realm. So we are and now at the comprehensive understanding that our souls have descended from the invisible realm, went through various stages of conditioning through the 7 planets. And now we're working out our zodiac, and we are here preparing the alchemical process so that the soul, or the feminine aspect of the creator, our inner soul, our individuality, is saved from matter. We put a dramatic twist on it. It's called Doomed or Entombed in Matter. And therefore, it is the hero's journey and the hero's right to free the soul from matter, who's been conditioned and entombed in matter and enslaved by the dragon, which is our personal egos. So on the journey, there is lots of tools and different methods that we can use to purify our minds and to purify our 4 bodies, the 4 bodies of Ezekiel. We have our 4 mental. We have our mental body. We have our physical body. We have our astral body, and we also have our divine will. And we need to utilize these different forces and aspects of our toolbox so that we can incarnate as much spirit as we can in our everyday lives. So let me just share my screen really quick. Let's go over some. So the monad and how it came about. So first symbol we're going to learn to meditate on and understand, comprehend, is the circle and the dot. The circle and the dot, we can use this archetype to meditate. And prescription will be to meditate on this for a week, 10 minutes a day, and to be able to let it penetrate your subconscious mind and see what kind of theories and ideas you come to on your own accord. We're going to talk about a little bit about the symbol because it explains pretty much everything when it comes to how the soul became individualized. So here we have a circle, and the circle is 0 for the womb, and then we add a dot, and that womb creates a monad, or an individualized aspect of its being. And the line splits it. It becomes 2, the Vesica Pisces. These 2 separate forms of the tree of life are essentially Kether, becoming Kether and moving from Chokmah to Binah, masculine, feminine, wisdom and understanding, our inner father and mother. And that monad creates the 3rd, which is the Christ, which is the child, or the emanated individual self-consciousness that is now part of its own self world outside of its parents. Just like our parents, our mother and father, come together, have a union and produce a physical body, those 2 entities represent a microcosm of the higher form of this that takes place in the supernal realms. So now I have my own self-individualized consciousness in my physical body that came from the union of 2. So I'm the 3rd, but I am completely independent of them, even though I came from them. So that's why we all are independent and have free will, and able to make our own choices as we navigate. So symbol 1, the sun, represents divine ego, the higher individuality. So not the lower individuality, which is just body, mind, ego, the the things that we inherit from our environment, our personality, lower personality. This is the divine ego that emanates in all beings, the I am of all beings, eternal. And that on the angelic plane, so not the divine spiritual realm, we have the planetary spheres now. It becomes the Archangel Michael, which is the power that drives us to prompt us to action. All beings are action. There's one law of the universe, and that is, when you're incarnated, the gunas always prompt us into action. We are always, we must act. So we must act with wisdom, because we can act with ignorance, and we can also act with passion. So we have Luna, Isis, the moon, the great mother. Kabbalistically is the soul, nature's instinct. So we have our internal natural instincts, our mind. She's the great mother that gives us the gift of senses and individual separate reality, to be able to see everyone separately, and as everyone is a fractal of these divine parents. So when we see physical women, we are seeing minute monads of the one divine mother. Now, that one divine mother separated into many different distinctive divine spiritual mothers, and those divine spiritual mothers came with together with other spiritual masculine monads, and combined and created spirit souls, which are us. So we all have our own particular divine mother and divine father, because it's a fractal hologram. Once there's one, there is the many. So by default, there being one, then there, by effect, the many. And we are experiencing the many. We're all connected to the one. The one's the Father in heaven, the Father who's in secret. In the physical body, it's the cerebrum. He lives and dwells here, just like a father archetype, sitting back, attending to the back matters, not getting too emotionally involved or personally involved, but taking care of everything from like a level of a detachment. Whereas we have the divine female aspect of the monad, who is personal and interacting and cares, and is always looking after like if a child is sick, then she will come to that child and give that care personally, because she does have everyone equal in love. However, because of that personal aspect, it has the ability to show more interest in different situations. So we all have our individual divine mother, our own sun, our own Luna. We all have everything within us, and they've been with us since the very beginning. And our physical parents here on this earth are physical representations of those spiritual archetypes that pre-existed way before we were even incarnated here, so before we descended. So this gives birth to Christ, which is the word, or the logos, or the supreme emanation of all the values of the spiritual monad, combined into its own self-independent entity that's a verb. That entity, which is a noun and a verb, promotes a growth, action, and light, and is the spermatoza of every living cell in the entire universe, for it to blossom and to bloom with self-individuality and personality, so that we're not just Pinocchios or automatons or robots or just physical inanimate objects. We are alive. We are full of life, love, compassion. We have the whole Kabbalistic tree within us, and we can awaken these Sephiroth by practicing these methods that have been passed down to us through the ancients, like transmuting our lust into chastity, by being able to comprehend that all women are manifestations of the divine mother, that all physical men are manifestations of the divine father, and that everyone needs to come together and recognize that 1 + 1 equals, that union is the third. 1 and 2, then we have 3. That third aspect is the Christ child, and that is also what takes place in us individually when we unite our internal mother and father, marry our sun and moon in alchemical marriage. It gives birth to the third, the child, the Christ, and that's represented by the sun, the tarot card of the sun. Notice how the solar child is on top of the white steed and mounted, full of knowledge, reigning supreme, full of good fortune and health, because we must make our minds just like they were when we were children. We must activate our right hemispheres of our brain and become innocent again, We've been traumatized. I'll speak for myself, growing up in this society, in this culture, super debilitating, growing up, just a lot of negative circumstances we've all been thrown into at different levels and exposed to the trauma and the stuff in the world that makes us not innocent anymore, things that rob us of our childlike innocence. And nowadays it's getting worse. So by reverting and completely recollaborating our subconscious patterns, our tendencies, and our our project that we need to complete, we can slowly change the circuits of our brain and our astral brain and our astral body and our astral chakras and all of our nerve points to finally go back to its perfect form, to once it was. Like the perfect form, like the child on the steed, completely conquering the lower nature of the animal, riding into Jerusalem, just like Jesus in the Bible, as he rides into Jerusalem on mounted on the horse, representing the Christ or the higher spirit, completely triumphing over the senses and controlling matter into a sense where it works for it in a positive way. So we enter our Jerusalem, which is in the brain. Now, what's interesting to know is this Christ that emanates from the divine mother, father, monad actually sacrifices itself and dies for us to live, because the Christ actually dies in the higher supernal realms to give birth to us in the lower realms. Light is always making a sacrifice of energy, or like a death to the higher form of spirit, crucified to come down into matter and animate and create life. And then so that we can be the receivers of the divine play of the creator. We're on the receptive side. And as we mature and grow, we change from our inner receptive to becoming activate our inner giver, our inner father within, because we have to activate the inner father. We have to be dignified like Saturn. We have to be a warrior like Mars at its highest form. We have to become solar heroes. We have to master the art of communication with Mercury and be able to speak fluently and help others understand the truth, and to be able to heal with our words and help other people in different ways just through our words, our divine breath. This is how we start utilizing the archetypes, by becoming conscious of everything that's within and without, and seeing the correlative connections between it. It's important to know that we have two aspects of our consciousness. Now that we've bent the apple and incarnated into the physical realm, now we have conscious will and unconscious will. We have a part of ourselves that is conscious, and we have a part of ourselves that's unconscious. And that part of ourselves that's unconscious is what deceives us. It harms others. It makes us crave insatiable desires. It makes us feel like we should be on top, or we should compete. It's everything that the Bhagavad Gita would help us relieve, like competition, doing things for fruit of labor, always trying to do things to get ahead. We have all of this unconscious behaviors that have emanated from our heritage of our animal level consciousness. Not that we evolved in the same way that Darwinism says, but I'm specifically talking about spiritual evolution. So we have to develop these archetypes, these planets, and we have to turn on our light bulbs, become more conscious, activate our conscious wills, and start overcoming all of these unconscious behavioral patterns that have been in us from trauma, passed down through also our eternal karma that we've given to ourselves. And just that those predispositions to actions and inclinations to different behaviors that make us always revert back to day one, never getting ahead, until we finally initiate the conscious will, which is the Christ or Moses, we were talking about in the last lecture. To activate this process, we activate calcination, Aries. We start our the trials of the Lamb of God, and we start beginning the purification process. When we do the purification process, we're working a lot with the Divine Mother. The Divine Mother produces this sense world reality, this physical world that we live in, that gives us all the nurturing lessons that we get. And we can beautify and make splendid our five senses by purifying what goes in. but through the law of understanding input and output. Anything that goes into the senses goes into subconscious mind, and whatever goes into subconscious mind comes out into your reality. Masculine giving birth to the feminine, impregnating the feminine, giving birth to the Christ child, giving birth to the reality or the light or the manifestation. So we have to penetrate the unconscious through conscious will, and we can actually purify the five senses. For example, with ears. And notice ear, we have ear, here, earring, rings of Saturn. Okay, getting a little overboard there. Sorry if you can't see that. Whoops. Okay, I was just trying to say, hey, ear, here, earring, rings of Saturn. We wear earrings so that we can hear the internal truths that are given to us from the angelic realms. So, back to the point. Sorry about that, guys. We kind of get off track. There's just so much information. So we need to change our unconscious habits by using the conscious will to penetrate into the unconscious and start getting better results through planting seeds. We can purify the senses, for example, what we listen to. I used to listen to a lot of music that, it could bring a lot of negative emotions, a lot of ego, a lot of sense of pride. And by changing this music and listening to Bob Marley completely woke me up, helped me become who I am today. His music divinely inspired me, because to me, I really love the religious aspect of the music. And through all the syncretism I learned from Santos, really was able to let me unlock a lot of secrets within the music of Bob Marley. And that music helped purify my ear sense, because my ear sense was very damaged from listening and hearing things that were causing egregores in my subconscious mind. And purifying it through classical music, Bob Marley, or anything beautiful that you prefer that promotes the highest truth in some way will help purify that sense, and you'll see things in your outer life manifest accordingly. Of course, we purify our touch through tantra, through initiating our loving aspect instead of our lustful aspect, to heal with our hands instead of harm, to be very delicate with the work that we do, and be very nurturing with it, using the energy from Cancer to be very nurturing, and be very, very touching and very calm. Now we have smell. Of course, we can utilize the fragrances, and we can go over some fragrances later on for when we talk about rituals and how we can do occult mystical rituals, and how it helps develop our conscious will to be able to control the unconscious elements. We'll be getting into that, but definitely using fragrances such as essential oils, incense. Be very careful with incense. Make sure it's completely natural. It's very bad to get incense that is not, and can be very toxic. But you're purifying the sense of smell, which is directly related to memories, and automatically you'll be purifying your emotions and activating different forces from the archangels, because each fragrance corresponds to a zodiac and a planet. And of course, sight. We can use our sight and beautify it. Growing up, I was pretty numb with my sight. I didn't see the world. In my teenage years, kind of was a little bit numbed, a little bit blind, and didn't see the physical world for what it really was, a beautiful, beautiful emanation from the supernal realms. It's when you unlock your sight of your pineal gland, which varies from day to day and week to week and month to month based on the process and how well you're doing with your inner work. Sometimes things can get kind of shady when you're going through your winter of your soul, but for the most part, activating your pineal gland makes everything appear so much more beautiful, and you're able to pinpoint the beauty in any object, any situation at all. You're able to see yourself as a beautiful creation, see others as beautiful creations, listen to music and see the beauty in it. To see the beauty in creation is activating Tippereth, which is in the tree of life, close to the heart. And we're starting to incarnate our Christ by doing things appreciating beauty, whether it be in plants, pictures, drama, poems, poetry. We need to start inputting into our unconscious mind, using our conscious to consciously input into our unconscious mind through the senses, beautiful scenery, beautiful pictures from the Bhagavad Gita, or pictures from the Eastern religion. I love them. Or pictures from the Western Christian tradition, or any tradition that you love, because those religious pictures are full of symbols and help impregnate the subconscious mind with those ideas. And these archetypes will start working inside of you and start launching activity. So by inputting these things and purifying the senses with beautiful things and wonderful smells and wonderful sounds, we're creating our reality. Input, output. So. A little bit more of this. So as we see, we have the monad, the crown, and it splits into divine wisdom and intelligence or understanding. This is male and female, and these three give birth to the one, the mother. This one becomes two. These two recombine and create the third Christ, or the hidden. Kether splits into male and female. Male and female monad splits into two, recombines, creates a third. We all have the inner divine mother and father that are always there for us, taking care of us, trying to make sure that we are always improving in our ways. And it communicates through us through people, the divine mother, divine father, and situations, events. Ramakrishna, Indian saint, said that, hey, he saw the divine mother everywhere, in everyone, that everyone appeared to him as the divine mother. So you can reach a very transcendental state of consciousness through meditation, chanting, and being on the great work, to where you lose your sense of separation. You'll still have your individuality, but you'll definitely see the unity as well. So equals, yeah, very similar. They come together and form the child, which was the tarot card, the sun. Notice these number sequences: 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 0 being the womb, 1 the dot, 0 and then the dot in the middle, 2 the Vesica Pisces, the third the child, or the word, which is the intelligent logos. And there it is, appears in the human body, sun and moon, king and queen, uniting, creating this third force that rises up the spine and ignites the pineal gland. We need to become balanced in everything. We have to become equilibrated, and I'll be sharing a lot of methods to help us equilibrate our left and right brain. There's already a lot of beautiful methods on the academy that are being taught. So Jesus Christ says, take no thought. The thought comes from the left brain, which is like electric, and the being within ourselves, the right hemisphere, or our inner being state, would be magnetic, and the thoughts emanate from the being. So the thoughts create these subgroups and create composites within us that create aggregates on the left side that need to be taken care of, calmed, and worked out on the right hemisphere of the brain intuitively, rather than how we think. We think that everything needs a logical explanation, when really things are more intuitive in nature, and things can be very different than what we expect. So how do we begin to awaken the consciousness? So what we do is, here I wrote this down. When we step away from the mind and see it for what it is, the thoughts cease and we merge with the witness. By doing this, we allow a process to occur in which the right hemisphere of the brain is thrown open and activated. In this state, we get ideas and intuitive images and feelings or premonitions, rather than analytical, logical thoughts. Our thoughts can be from what we read in a newspaper, or from what a friend would say, or basically something that happened in the past, or various different memories that our mind thinks that we might need for our basic survival, whereas the right brain's in touch with the soul, or the universal spirit. So we got male and female, king and queen. The sun and the moon unite. This is the alchemical marriage. Soul and matter, mind and spirit, takes place and gives birth to the Christ, or the inner child, which is the sun on the tarot card. This gives us alchemical inner joy, completely liberating the soul from matter, in which we will be able to experience soul flight, and have direct access to it. So right now, close your eyes and watch the screen in front of you, the black screen. There's a part of you that exists there and is not attached to the body, but is in what I would say like a soul flight. But because our ego is bottled up and we don't have enough energy, we're not fully there. Like when we were kids, we could simply close our eyes, fall into a deeper state of consciousness, and all of a sudden this foggy screen here becomes lit up with images and a virtual reality in which we could lucidly dream and create. So by doing this alchemical process, we can activate this inner vision. This is the Christ, our Christ body, the ability to transcend matter. Right now, we're enslaved by our senses, which is the devil tarot card. And the only thing that can liberate us from bondage, like I said in our last lecture, was the power of Moses, or the archetype willpower, or the Christos, the Christ, the inner force of light that's eternal, immortal, and everlasting. And that liberates us from the senses so that we no longer crave or yearn, and we no longer are attracted nor repulsed by anything that takes place in this physical realm. We finally learn the lesson and become, look at this card. It has two people, male, female, Adam, Eve, in their lowest state of consciousness, super bonded to the material realm. And this happens in our lives. This happens in look at the world. Most of our lives is very dramatically played out in our lives through our relationships that we've had, and all the humans here on this earth. There's more relationships that we can ever speak of, where male and female monads unite, and either for better or for worse. So the Divine Mother definitely provides us with all the lessons we need to progress on the path. We just have to pay attention. All right. Well, to finish up this lecture, I just wanted to say, hey, thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate you being here. I always appreciate feedback. I can definitely help answer any questions. I am just going to send us home with a little bit of homework today. You can do this at your own pace. We're going to dive a little bit more into real brief, the Mona Lisa smile, and how we were talking about that in when we're bringing the energy up and we have our eyes towards the horizon and between our eyebrows slightly, tongue at the roof of the mouth. The Mona Lisa smile, or it's similar to the inner smile where, we learn from the Taoists to smile within ourselves, but this is actually a physical smile where you go like this. This opens, you should feel a small muscle tense in between your ears, and it opens up the gate for the energy to flow. Now you have your tongue here, your eyes here, your Mona Lisa smile, your fingers touch, back straight, pull up on your perineum a little bit, ever so slightly to close it, chin down. Breathe in, 1, 2, 3, 4. And do the breathing rhythm as you wish, but just focus on your breath in this state. So that's to clarify that. Also, to combine this, we are going to add one more technique, which is to meditate on this dot and circle and take notes in a journal. So meditate every night for 10 minutes by focusing your attention on this dot and circle, and find out what kind of thoughts surface to you. And on the path, as we're starting, I just say, here's some questions to ask yourself. We've grown up in a world full of nihilism and has taken the creator out of it and told us that, hey, our life is purposeless, meaningless, that we all evolved from monkeys. But we have to ask ourselves, has this indoctrination affected us at all? So I always ask myself, have I become atheistic in nature? And if so, why? Second question, do I meditate on the supreme being with form or without form? So ask yourself, do you meditate, when you meditate on the supreme spirit or the supreme cause, is it form, or does it have, is it formless or no form? Both answers are completely correct. Just like the Saint Ramakrishna said, that the father is impersonal and the mother is personal. The father is formless and the mother is with form. So they're both an equal, but it's good to get to know yourself. Number 3, Is the prime creator personal or impersonal? What have you been, what have you been taught? Have you been taught that, is this just an impersonal force, or do you feel that, this is a personal caretaker that takes individual interest? For example, is two aspects of consciousness is, do you want to taste the fruit or be the fruit? Now, devotees and being servants of the creator and individual partials, it's best to, taste the sugar, but know that while you're tasting the sugar, you also are the sugar. So you're the same quality as that supreme cause, but different in quantity. Now, if there's an absolute truth, do you live up to its existence and relevance in the day-to-day activities? So when we're on the path, we have to do our best to align all of our day-to-day activities and all of our day-to-day inclinations in the highest modes of knowledge that we have access to, essentially. Number 6, what existence is possible without the body and mind? Have I personally experienced life and existence beyond the physical and mental spheres, if only for a glimpse? Now, this question, ask yourself as you're meditating and get deeper into your practices. You will get to states of consciousness that are beyond the mind and body. A lot of, we're taught that we're the mind, but the mind is also a tool that the being uses to incorporate into the physical body. So there is existence beyond mind. So these are things to meditate upon. Now, number 7. Am I able to wake up consciously while dreaming and have full cognizance in that realm? So we should always ask ourselves, hey, did I remember my dream last night? Did I write it down? What was I doing? What does it mean? Our reality in our waking state gets transposed into our astral body when we're asleep, and we start experiencing the astral realm. Now, if we don't remember it, it means that we weren't conscious enough from our day-to-day activities in our waking state to take that awareness into the unconscious sleep realm. So this is something to also work on, to be conscious of. We're definitely going to get more into it and into dream yoga and how we can wake up into the astral plane, start experiencing the states of consciousness. So number 8, do you believe that God or the creator that takes actual personal interest in people and their lives and aspirations? Or is it just sort of like he or she, or she, the divine monad being loves everyone equally, eternally, completely outside of it? Or do you think that it takes like individual interest in us? Now, I personally feel that our individual father and mother being within ourselves take individual interest in us, as well as sometimes the supreme emanation of the highest point of consciousness that takes, I would say the divine mother does take personal interest. But hey, what do you think? So what lessons can be learned from witnessing the cycle of life in the animal kingdom and the brutal nature of all the eating of other entities that realm accomplishes to continue life? Can we meditate upon this and really take a look at nature in all of its cruel aspects and all of its cruel forms, and really try to meditate, hey, why is this like this? Why is it that these animals are eating each other, and that for thousands of years there has been entities actually consuming one another, which is a very frightful thought when we're talking about all this divinity. So we really have to ask ourselves, where have we descended? And then number 10, of course, we always have to ask ourselves, our attention, check ourselves before we wreck ourselves, right? Are we really perfect in all of our ways? Or are there imperfections and evil inclinations lying within us that are unconscious that we need to witness and weed out? That we need to be gardeners of our subconscious mind and take a look at us and say, hey, look, you know what? There's some aspects of myself that's pretty not good. We need to weed this out. We need to become conscious of it. We need to accept it, but not in the sense of promoting it, but in the sense of digging deeper into ourselves and relinquishing our shadow, slaying the dragon, freeing ourselves from temptation, liberating our will, and finally saving the princess from the castle and uniting the sun and moon. So this is the alchemical process. This is what we can actually take, what takes place within us on an individual and macro level. So I hope you guys enjoyed this lesson. We're going to be talking about how to wake up our consciousness in the physical waking states in our next lesson, and how to initiate a possible lucid dream, or to be able to wake up in the astral plane so that we can become fully conscious aware and start using that as a tool to reflect back to us how we are doing on our alchemical journey. Because initiations take place in the astral plane. We have our physical initiations and things that take place in this realm of learning and behaviors, but the initiations and real revelations take place when we fully wake up and comprehend ourselves and are able to actively maneuver consciously and discriminately in the astral plane. So definitely be going into that. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you guys. I hope, guys and girls, I hope that you guys are having a great time at the academy and learning a lot. And I'll see you next time.